Orla, and I'm absolutely shocked that we're only leaving priority questions now at 11:20, and I assure the Minister that I'll be sticking to the time, and I hope he does too. I'm obviously, like other deputies in my constituency, we had to spend the summer dealing with really irate, and the last 2 weeks really in particular, irate Portmarnock train users who became the victim of a so-called improvement in air and dart services to the north side and beyond of Dublin, but it came at the expense of Portmarnock residents. I'm wondering, is the Minister aware of it? Has he done anything about it?
Minister, 2 minutes and 2 minutes only.
I propose to take PQs 6 and 53 together with your permission. Can I call it? Okay. As Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport, I have responsibility for policy and overall funding in relation to public transport. I am not involved in the day-to-day operations of public transport. The operation of IE services, including the new timetables on the DART, is a matter for the company, with oversight by the National Transport Authority. The DART and commuter rail services carried almost 33 million passenger journeys in the Dublin region in 2017, an increase of 6% compared to 2016, and growth rates of 29% for the DART in the period 2013 to 2017. As I mentioned in my earlier response to Deputy Troy, the DART expansion programme is a key feature of Dublin's future transport infrastructure that is proposed in the NTA's transport strategy for the GDA 2016 to 2035. The DART expansion programme is a series of projects that will create a full metropolitan area DART network for Dublin, with all the lines linked and connected. The estimated cost of the DART expansion programme is €2 billion. The NTA and Inrad Éireann are currently in the process of defining an overall integrated schedule for the DART expansion programme, with numerous projects to be completed by 2027. As I mentioned earlier, as part of the DART expansion programme and the move to a 10-minute frequency for DART services, Inrad Éireann introduced a new timetable on Sunday the 9th of September to provide for an enhanced DART frequency. The new DART timetable involves increasing from a 15-minute frequency between Bray and Howth Junction Donaghmede to a 10-minute frequency with the Howth Junction Donaghmede to Howth and Malahide segments of the network, improving from a 30-minute DART service to a 20-minute DART service. The Greystones to Bray DART service remains at a 30-minute service. Frequently, the introduction of new timetables gives rise to some teething issues that need to be addressed in order to improve the services for customers. As I indicated in my response to the Deputy's earlier priority question, the main issue that has arisen with the timetable range relates to capacity on the north side of Dublin. I am assured that Inrad Éireann is working with the NTA to iron out these problems, and I am aware that as a direct response to customer feedback, Inrad Éireann has introduced additional services which will particularly benefit those commuters in Portmarnock. In summary, with the 2 additional services now added by Inrad Éireann, Portmarnock now has the same number of peak morning services as it had before the timetable change, and Clongriffin has 1 extra. Inrad Éireann has stated that it believes that these changes will address the frequency concerns from customers from Portmarnock and Clongriffin and the capacity issues that have arisen particularly at DART stations such as Harmonstown and Gloucester.
Well, Minister, as you say, Portmarnock now has the same numbers. I would put it to you that that's as a result of the outcry by commuters, and indeed which had to be articulated by the public reps, and the week to 10 days of a nightmare endured by them. You might also note the fact that what hasn't gone back and what they're not on a par with is the evening service. And while nobody expects you to micromanage Inrad Éireann, you weren't asked to do that. But presumably, as the Minister responsible for Inrad Éireann, you do have a role to play on commenting, for example, on situations where the health and safety of passengers is endangered. You presumably have a view on the fact that when public reps contact Inrad Éireann seeking information to try and find out why Portmarnock was selected for a reduced service in order to supposedly enhance the service in other areas, when we ask for example, how did that decision reach? What was the passenger data used to calculate to say that Portmarnock should be the one that would be hit in the service, an area with 1,000 new houses coming on stream? Presumably you would have a view and a role to play there where you could step in and actually do something to correct those bad practices.
Minister.
Well, I'm glad that the Deputy acknowledges that I don't, and I think it's the first acknowledgement I've had in this House from anybody, that I'm not expected to micromanage every particular railway route and in the country, which is obviously something which I cannot do. But what I can do, and I obviously do, is when new projects of this sort are introduced, I monitor them very closely to see if they're successful and to see if passengers are being discommoded generally or in specific places. And what I have been struck by, and I have to say this in the cases that were raised by Deputy Troy earlier and which have been raised by you as well in this, is the fact that the NTA, in fact, has reacted very, very positively and very fast to the difficulties which are inevitable. You know, we've seen difficulties in North Dublin over the DART expansion scheme, which is absolutely inevitable when a large scheme of this sort happens, and we've seen similar difficulties with the Lewis in South Dublin. But they have been marked by the fact that the trains have been switched back, have been restored where there were difficulties, and in fact the overcrowding to which you have which you've addressed has in fact been sorted. And that's what a good train or bus operator should do. They should be prepared to make radical changes, and when they have actually miscalculated, and it's not an exact science, they should adjust accordingly. I suggest that's what they've done in Portmarnock.
Deputy Daly's supplementary.
Yes, that they didn't, and I can tell you it wasn't very fast for the people who were on the front line dealing with this issue solidly for the past week, and indeed the passengers who had to endure it. Now, I've never said that you should micromanage the service, but presumably as the Minister for Transport, when the national rail operator puts forward an improvement in the service, yes, brings more darts but smaller carriages, more frequency but less spaces for people. When you identify there's a problem, and you said it in your introduction, there's a problem on the capacity, not on the south side of Dublin, on the north side of Dublin. What are you doing to address that problem more expediently? Because this is the area where we expect, and to take Portmarnock as an example, 1,000 new houses due in the next year alone, many more thousands planned in the immediate future. These are the people who the Taoiseach loves, the people who get up in the morning to stand in Portmarnock Dart Station as the trains go by them, or to mash in pregnant women, children standing the whole way into town. It's unacceptable, and you should be doing a hell of a lot more on that.
So to incorporate Deputy Troy's question.
Thank you, Lasky Corda. Will just give me an opportunity to seek clarification from the Minister, because what you do have responsibility is the funding that you give to Irish Rail in relation to their ability to purchase new rolling stock. So if I could be very clear, because you said I wasn't in my original questions, has the reconditional carriages been ordered? If so, when were they ordered? And when do you expect delivery of same, as in what quarter 2019? How many reconditioned carriages will be delivered for use for Irish Rail? When were they ordered, and if they haven't been ordered, when will they be ordered? You alluded to 300 new carriages in 2020. Can I ask, when have they been ordered? Have they been ordered already? If not, when are they due to be ordered? And again, when will they be delivered and in use? And again, if I could just hold you to what year and what quarter.
Minister, to answer both questions.
Thank you. I think I told the Deputy the answer to these questions, but maybe he wasn't happy with the answers. The procurement process for additional DART fleet is expected to commence this year, with a contract for approximately some 300 new rail carriages expected to be awarded in the second half of 2019. 28 refurbished carriages are to re-enter service in 2019, and this will add to capacity to a number of services. Inrad Éireann and the NTA are currently assessing the availability of additional fleet that could be introduced to passenger services on the rail network across Ireland in the short term. That is a considerable commitment to new carriages in the coming years, which I hope will satisfy the Deputy. The Deputy Daly was mentioning the numbers of new houses being built in the area in Portmarnock. You're right. There are thousands, I think you said, 1,000 new houses. That's to be welcome. That's absolutely to be welcome. I'm glad you're acknowledging that there is a build-up of houses in that area. And there is, of course, a race to meet them with the necessary infrastructure. And that is what is being done. And it is a critical problem that we have at the moment in that we're building so many houses and we're trying to keep the infrastructure going at the same pace. And that is what is being achieved by these projects which are being introduced, not just with the Dart, but with the Lewis and with the buses. And to suggest that we're not actually meeting the requirements and we don't have the energy or the ambition to meet the requirements of the housing which is also being supplied is, I think, disingenuous.
Deputy Durkan is 30 seconds.
Thank you.